In this video, we're going to discuss the different viewing windows when using a graphing utility. Now, when you use a graphing utility to graph a line, it's important to realize that the line may not visually appear to have the same slope indicated by its equation. And this occurs because, well, because of the viewing window for the graph. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to graph one equation, and we're going to change the windows to 3 different windows, and then we're also going to graph it in a square setting as well, and see the differences. So we're going to begin by graphing our equation, which is 0.5x minus 3, and then we're going to change our window. So we're going to go to window, and it says to make your x minimum -5 and your x maximum 10, and count by ones, and then your y minimum -1 and your y maximum 10 and the y scale 1. Then once we have that, we can hit graph, and we see what that looks like. Kind of interesting, okay? And so we see that it kind of looks something like this right here, right? So drew a little sketch of that. That way after we're done graphing with all 3 and our square one, we can compare them. That's pretty similar, okay? So then let's go ahead and let's change our window to our second options. So for part B, it says -2 for the x min, and the x max is still 10, and our x scale is 1. Now our y minimum is -4, and our y maximum is 1, and our y scale is 1. And once we've got that, we can go ahead and hit graph. And then we're going to want to sketch an example of that as well. And so we've got our sketch, looks something kind of like that. And now we're ready to do our third window. So go back to window. And this time we're doing a y minimum of -5 and a maximum of 10 and an x scale of 1. And then a y minimum of -7. Oops, -7. And a y maximum of 3 and a y scale of 1. So we're going to go ahead and hit graph. And we're going to sketch an example of that as well. So now that we have all 3, let's start to describe the differences between the graphs. So if we look at graph A, it doesn't show both of the intercept. For part B, the range of the y values aren't really proportional to the range of the x values. So we're not really getting a true picture. Here, graph C is probably our best bet, or our best choice of the 3 options. So here on C, the range of the y values is proportional to the range of the x values, so it's going to give us an accurate picture because it's going to be kind of like square. So if we pull back up our graph and we go to zoom and we click on 5 for square, we see that our graph doesn't really need to change, and we're getting that squared look, so that way our graph is proportional in its picture. So it's important to make sure you know how to use the window setting on your calculator so that you can get an accurate picture and visual of your graphs.